B12 is, to me, it's you know, some vitamins and some components are a byproduct of metabolism of other factors, and that's what B12 is. B12 deals with the adrenal glands and cobalt and the like. If you're feeling fatigued and you're blaming B12, go to your adrenal glands and fix them, and you won't have a deficiency. So fix the adrenal glands, no B12. People like to take it. Now, my B12 went low when I started going wrong over a year ago. This is when I started getting the foggy head, also depressed moods. That's because you lack the neurotransmitters. That's because you stopped neurotransmitter consumption, and therefore you saw the downing of the adrenal glands. The adrenals just crashed on you, and therefore you saw the B12s, you saw the fog, all this stuff. It isn't B12 supports all that. It's just that you dumped your adrenals, which is common. When you come off of meat, your adrenals are going to dump because you're not taking epinephrine anymore. So you're going to dump, and you're going to feel fatigued. I have people coming in here all the time saying, I got to have meat. I have any energy. I have to have meat for energy. Well, you must understand that the body does not use protein for energy. And if it did, you're in trouble. Another question about B12 there, RTDIOTI. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with vitamin B12. You have a varied amount of opinions of foods that have it in it, foods that don't, and I just don't waste my time with that stupidity, because you never see a raw food is deficient in anything, especially when you move the lymph, get the adrenals up, kidneys filtering. Nobody's deficient, nobody has symptoms, nobody lacks vitality. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. You get your lymph system clean, your adrenals up, and everybody healthy, the energy is beyond what most people can handle. This is another B12 question referencing low cobalt in the soils, but you've got to consider the adrenal glands, because the amount that we need of nutrients is so small, it's not even funny. And if you get more above the ground into fruitarianism, then it'll even freak you out more if you try to apply what you think of the laws that we need minerals. You know, we have a certain level in natural health where minerals are the cat's meow. I don't believe that B12 shots, none of my clients ever get these things and never have problems, and I don't believe in doing things like that. Get your adrenals back in the state of health. That's where B12 is dealt with. Someone is asking about B12 too, and I want to say this, that B12 suppresses the parathyroid gland. And that's why taking it can be dangerous. When everything's naturally occurring in the body, chemistry is transmutating from one constituent to another. It's always done as needed. When we start supplementing, then we're we're bringing into the body, levels that the body then again, as we talked about in previous videos, where chemistry becomes antagonistic to other chemistry, and that's the biggest worry I have, is creating antagonistic chemistry in you, and that's kind of what you have to be careful with. And you notice that you see low B12s, low Ds, and low iron with weak adrenals. Do you ever notice that? You'll see that every time. Work on your adrenals, you might see something interesting. Also clean out your liver and gallbladder too. And I think you'll see a change in that. B12s, that's a byproduct that comes out of the adrenal glands. You see people on raw foods here where their B12 is skyrocketing. You see, I mean, this idea of needing meat for B12 is ridiculous. That's the biggest war there is out there, and I've talked a great deal about it. I'm not going to say any more about B12. Someone has got some B12 questions again. So I started to have vision problems taking B12 shots. I've hit this B12 and vitamin D until I'm blue in the face, honey. So it's enough to say I don't buy into any of that. And this is another question about B12. Please forget about B12. Get your adrenals up. Your B12 will be okay. Never had anybody worry about B12. So, forget about it. You're not going to die if you're not supplementing it. Half the people would have been dead. All right? Nutritional yeast, don't recommend it at all. We already have too much fungus in it. Drop that yeast thinking. No nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast, forget all that crap. I don't consider B12 a vitamin. It's a covitamin. You know, you get a lot of vitamins on journeys of bacterium and in journeys of metabolism. So I look at the B12 as a cofactor related to the adrenal glands. And it's in all, you know, you have the research that shows it's in vegetables, but if it's in fruits and vegetables, then it is a true vitamin. And I see it as a covitamin, cobalt derivative. Also, people have told me that we have to eat meat because of the B12. And here's that B12 crap again. I can tell you, you can go back and forth the B12 thing. You know, you have those that say it's fruits and vegetables. Now, B12 to me is a cofactor. It isn't an actual vitamin that you get in foods. It is a byproduct of metabolism. So, you know, that again, I don't even play in that world. I don't even go there because it's not even worth it. My client, I see tons and tons of blood work here. And when you're detoxing on a good diet, your adrenals are working and metabolizing properly, your B12s will be proper. Animals don't worry about B12. They don't worry about B12. No one worries about B12 that's healthy. It's just another thing. Oh, I'm low in energy, you need to pop it up with B12. I'm low in energy. Don't take any responsibility for your diet or your weak adrenals or any of the physiology that's connected to this. Just look at the supplements and what we can shoot or take and make us have more energy. And this is our problem. We've got to get out of this treatment-based thinking mentality. It serves no one well except those that make money off of it. I came across B12 deficiency, and I could relate with almost all the symptoms. Yeah, because every symptom in the world is related to B12. You know, please go past that. Your problem is in the adrenals, which is where the cofactor of B12 is at issue. Your adrenals, think of B12, think adrenals. Not meat and vegetables. Think of adrenal glands. Same thing with low iron levels and everything else. Go to the adrenal glands. This is where all these issues are dealt with, or created, I will say. I'm not trying to self-diagnose. Well, you should be able to self-diagnose, sweetheart. That's your job. You're allowed. You're from God. You know, man didn't take away your right to be able to look at yourself and self-diagnose yourself, please. But don't have anybody else diagnose you, or you could be practicing medicine without a license. You hear a lot about the B12 deficiency and all that. That's the adrenal glands. Cobalt and all that. That's the adrenal glands. People are telling me I have to take B12, seaweed, etc., etc. Well, B12, no. Get your adrenals up. You'll be fine. Seaweed, just really powerful food source. Could you touch on the B12 issue again? Well, again, if you go into B12 and you look at the adrenals and you look at the cobalt connection, you look at your vitamins and you look at your bacterial. Here's another issue too, is the bacteria in the body is vital, and all the antibiotic use and the destruction of bacteria affects the formation of vitamins that are essential as well. So the whole process is to achieve B12, to me, is messed up in the human body when you have weak adrenals. And you know, you're about this B12 thing again. I don't even focus on B12. When you're done with these programs, your body does not have a B12 deficiency. You bring up your adrenal glands. I wouldn't worry about that one little bit. I've never seen any of my clients ever worry about B12. People come in on it, they stop it. I've never seen a problem one. I've always seen the restoration of the body's chemistry when you go for health. Dr. Morse, I have one question for you. What is your take on B12? No, I'm not going to answer that anymore. I've got so much on B12. Guys, forget B12. Throw it out the door. Forget these isolates. Throw them out the door. Focus on health and eating proper. You know, bring all the fruits and the berries and the melons for detox. You want the green drinks? Pump the green drinks. I'll recommend a superfood blend, not isolates. Take a superfood blend and you won't have any B12 problems. Fix your adrenals and you will have no B12 problems whatsoever. Get rid of that medical consciousness and you'll do so much better there, my friend.